With the opening college football playoff game between Indiana and Notre Dame in the books, and Notre Dame advancing to face the Georgia Bulldogs, we now have 3 more games that have decisions to be made on them. But before that happens, there are already pundits that are trying to make tweaks to the college football playoff. Want to find out who my beef is with and why they should keep quiet? Stay tuned to find out on Gridiron Gab Triple Option. Welcome back, Gabbers. Thank you so much for joining us yet on another edition of Gridiron Gab Triple Option. Of course, you're gabbing with the one and only Mr. Zelo. And, Gabbers, before we get started today, just want to give... And as the Penn State SMU is going on, I had to jump on here and give you guys a specific take, which really irritated me during the broadcast by one Kirk Herbstreit, who has really been back and forth with teams that have gotten into the college football playoff, and I've really reached my pinnacle, and I'm really irritated. And Brad, I know you're going to give your take on this, and if anybody else would like to, please do so, and not just give me 3 worded comments. Really go in on why you feel the way you feel if you agree with Kirk Herbstreit, because the reality of it is I'm going to go in on this. But I want you guys, if you missed college football game day, I want you to hear exactly how this went.
The atmosphere was historic. Yeah. The game was not. You know, and I'm not going to sit here and say why was Indiana in, but Indiana, with what you guys like to talk about, they have 11 wins. They got to be one of the best teams. Indiana was outclassed in that game. They should not physically, it was not a team that should have been on that field when you consider other teams that could have been there. It's no knock on Indiana, they had a great year, but we've got to move forward with the playoff and hope that the committee does a better job of weighing who the best 12 are versus who's the most deserving, because by golly, they got 11 wins. They didn't beat anybody, but they got 11 wins. That's a bunch of BS. We need to find the best teams, and that's last night. It was incredibly evident just standing on that field and watching the game the way it played out.
First of all, Kirk is very much wrong here. You say they didn't beat anybody and their record is good. Let me tell you what he's wrong about first. You say they didn't beat anybody. By whose standards? Okay? You can't judge one Saturday afternoon, or in this case, see, basically what you're doing is you're saying you're taking a team's best Saturday and you're not even acknowledging the worst Saturday or Friday or whatever the day they play on. You're basically saying because this team showed up one week, we got to put them up here. What? Okay, let's do that then. Indiana lost one game against Ohio State. Now, keep in mind, this game was in the Horseshoe. I myself believe if had this game been played on a neutral field or possibly in Bloomington, this would have been a different game. You got people that are saying this was not a good game, not a good game, not a good game. Well, here's the thing. We get to watch garbage SEC clashes like this. Nobody says a thing. That's just great defense. That's just great. That was on display last night. Nobody complained when Alabama and LSU played a 9-6 snoozer. That was just great defenses. I love how the narrative changes when the subjects change. You guys ever notice that? Some of y'all that are not SEC fans like myself, because the SEC wants to put itself up here like they're the only ones in all of college football that are playing football out there. We've seen some of the 20-17 garbage games in the SEC. Matter of fact, it wasn't until the last 10 years that the SEC started playing offense. And that was only because you saw Texas A&M come over and you saw Missouri come over. By the way that I've watched a lot of these SEC teams mold themselves over the last, they built themselves a lot like Big 10 schools, Big 12 schools. Y'all's conference is always the one saying, well, if they were in the SEC, they'd have 3 losses. Texas don't have 3 losses. A&M needed Texas to beat A&M for them to get put out of the SEC title game. How's that? I'm just saying. Y'all sit here and talk like you're all almighty, and then Kirk, for him to sit here and say they haven't beaten anybody. Well, let's do that. The best teams. Let's do that. Let's play that way. Because you sit here and you judge these schools that beat one team, or luckily 2 in maybe a couple cases. Then you want to automatically assume they're one of the best teams in the country. Let's do it. Let's do it. Look at Miami and you say to yourself, and I can be honest with you, did I think Miami was deserving of getting in the college football playoff? Of course. But you also have to drop back and you also have to look at the Georgia Tech loss. You know, they weren't able to get it done. And then you look at the Syracuse loss. Now, granted, both of these games were on the road. But according to Kirk Herbstreit, you really don't have a win to stand on. If you're going by his logic. You don't have a win on there to really substantiate your claim there. And this is why I have a problem with you, Kirk. You're sitting here and you're trying to say, oh, this team should have been in. Let's do that. Ole Miss. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go there. Because the reality of it is, when you sit and you make these kind of asinine claims and say, oh, well, I don't think the best ones got in there. Look, I'm gonna call you on it. Ole Miss. They got the blowout of Georgia, 28-10. But that's in Oxford. Oxford. You're supposed to win in your building. But let's talk about something that they probably don't want to talk about. Y'all know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. You lost to an unranked LSU team in Death Valley. Uh-huh. And then you got beat at home by a 7-loss Kentucky team.
God damn!
Whom Louisville walked the dog with in their building. What you want to say, Kurt? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
Dumb shit! Dumb shit! Dumb shit!
Do I need to go on? Do I need to go on? And then there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, well, you can't judge them by just one bad Saturday. Oh, yes, I can. Just like you can judge them on one good Saturday. I should be able to put them down on a very bad Saturday. You can't lose to a team like Kentucky in your building and call yourself one of the best teams in the country.
You weak, pathetic fool.
Can't do that. And that's the thing. I have a problem with this. Oh, I forgot about this one. And then you got smacked by a Florida team who just barely made eligibility for a bowl game. But you one of the best 12?
God damn! Damn!
And this ain't no knock on Ole Miss. I will knock on Lane Kiffin. And I'm knocking on you, Kirk Herbstreit. We need to get this right. It's a bunch of BS. No, putting a team in that got beat by Florida and Kentucky is a bunch of BS.
Bruh. Dumb shit! Dumb shit!
What are you talking about? You're supposed to be an analyst. Stop thinking with your feelings. I don't give a if they put. So, by your measure, Florida and Kentucky should have got in the playoff. I mean, that's what you're saying. Right? Somebody correct me. Somebody correct me. By Kirk Herbstreit's logic, Kentucky and Florida should have got in.
Stop the cap.
Since you're sitting here saying, oh, these games shouldn't matter, they should be the best teams, you taking one isolated Saturday and saying it weighs more than the whoopings they took.
You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Kirk, you don't get beat by a 7-loss and a 6-loss team, and you're one of the best teams in the country.
Bruh.
Now, you can bring up the Notre Dame loss to NIU, but that was one game. You got 2 losses to 2 really inadequate teams? What are you talking about?
You don't have to answer that question.
Let's go to my favorite. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is not one I was happy about doing because South Carolina has come on. They are playing good football. But unfortunately, you are what your record says you are. You can't run away with that. You can't run from it. Kirk, you need to learn this. South Carolina. You got this overrated Missouri team that you squeaked by. You did manhandle A&M. I give you props on that. You manhandled Oklahoma. You lost to Alabama in Tuscaloosa, a team that's lost 3 games. Two 6-6 teams. You lost to LSU at home. At home. That's a big no-no. You can't do that. Then you got blown out by Ole Miss at home. I mean, you didn't get beat. I mean, you got 2 losses in your building. 2 bad losses. You got to at least be competitive. You don't lose to an unranked LSU team at your building. You don't get blown out by an Ole Miss team that got beat by a 7-loss Kentucky team in their building and got their butt smoked by a 6-loss Gator team. Can't happen. Can't happen. Now, with that being said, I don't even need to go into Alabama because that's been well documented.
You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Kirk. They got blown out by a 6-loss Oklahoma team.
You son of a bitch!
And then you lose to a 6-loss Vanderbilt team.
Nah, that's a son bitch!
2 6-loss teams. This is well documented. And then Herbstreit has the nerve to sit there and say, this is a bunch of BS. We need to So basically what you're doing is you're saying, oh, if a team gets a impressive win on their resume, they're automatically in. Is that what you're saying? Maybe, Kirk, you didn't exercise the fact that maybe, just maybe, and I thought I heard somebody on Game Day say it a few months ago, there's about 3 or 4 teams, and then there's the rest of the field. I'm going to tell you something. Just because, and the real issue I have with guys like you who are supposed to be these dudes that know the game and understand what's going on and how this works, I really get sick and tired of trying to explain it because you have your mindset on who you want to be in this thing. And you're upset with the committee because they didn't give you what you wanted. Here's the truth, Kirk. We see the SEC play year in and year out.
You fucking idiot.
It's just the facts. And the fact of the matter is the SEC ain't no different than the Big 10, Big 12, and the ACC. They all play competitive games. And just like in the bowl season, you're going to see a lot of competitive football games. Regardless of how you want to shake it or whether you like it or not. The teams can't win the games on their schedule. It's not about strength of schedule. Teams can't help who are on their schedule. And I get sick of hearing people like you run around here and say, oh, they had a great year, but ain't no buts in it. Win the games on your schedule. Find it funny your narratives change based upon the subject. Your opinions are subjective, not objective. Instead of just sitting your butt up there saying, maybe Notre Dame was just miles ahead of Indiana. You're sitting here basically in a nutshell surprised because Notre Dame did what they did. Instead of just saying maybe they're a good football team. What are you going to say next week when Notre Dame beats Georgia? Oh, they beat them with a backup quarterback. Nobody ever said a damn thing when Ohio State didn't have Jackson Smith and Jigba or when Marvin Harrison got knocked out of that game. Or better yet, when Georgia won its national championship against Alabama when Jamison Williams and Henry Ruggs were out of that game. Nobody said anything about that. Nobody's ever questioned the validity of Georgia's dominance. It's Kirby Smart, who's the biggest crybaby in all of college football. But the reality of it is, you are making points that don't mean anything. When you get guys like me that come here and say, oh, well, you're saying they won 11 times. That doesn't mean anything. But Ole Miss blows out South Carolina, who in turn nearly beats Alabama or beats Clemson or gets beaten in their building by LSU, but they gave Alabama a good run, whom, by the way, got beat by 2 6-loss teams, whom, by the way, beat Ole Miss. I mean, we want to sit here and give Alabama its flowers. They lose to a Tennessee team on top of losing to a 6-6 Vanderbilt. They couldn't win a game in the state of Tennessee. Whoop-de-flip-and-do. Tennessee got in, and deservingly so. Are we going to have the same narrative when Tennessee gets beat? No. What if Ohio State goes out there and mops the floor with them? Are you going to have the same argument next year? Because Indiana was ranked 11th. Tennessee is ranked right there. They were ranked number 8, excuse me. Are you going to have the same disdain if Tennessee gets blown up? I just want to hear you be unbiased. Because right now, Kirk, you went from being the unbiased voice of reason to now you're being that jackass of the SEC. And I don't like it. And I don't think a lot of fans around the country like it. We understand ESPN loves the SEC. But the fact of the matter is, your argument should work. Period. You can't say a team wins 11 games. Oh, well, they might be pretty good. Or, no, they're not really that good. Maybe it's just damn Notre Dame is that good. I mean, did you ever stop to think about that? This was a 6-10 matchup, you know. 6-10. And we've heard you guys say that there is a huge drop-off from maybe the top 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 best teams in the country. But I just had to air that out, guys, because for him to sit there, Kirk Herbstreit to sit there and on national television, in a nutshell, try to stroke and then kick Indiana in the you-know-whats, that's just disgusting. You want to say get it better? Look, if you want, no doubt, beat your 6-6 teams. Indiana did. You that damn good, beat them. Just saying. Same thing with South Carolina. Don't let nobody walk in your house and beat you. Ole Miss, don't let nobody walk in your house and beat you. At least Alabama had 2 losses on the road. They weren't pretty, but doesn't matter. You lost. The argument used to be find ways to win. Ole Miss had a beatdown. Alabama had a beatdown. South Carolina had a beatdown. Can't change the fact that you had not only a bad Saturday, but a horrible Saturday. At least Indiana's horrible Saturday was against a team that was arguably miles ahead of them. None of you can say that. Oklahoma, Ole Miss. Just saying. Just saying. Let me know what you guys think about Kirk Herbstreit's take on getting it right. And if you guys have an idea, please, let's share it. And guys, if you have a good topic on it, listen, I will not slap you. I will not get all over you. I will, however, discuss it with you, because the reality of it is sometimes we need to just step back and realize that the team that got blown up, maybe it was just a bad matchup. Maybe it's just a bad matchup. And guys, what we have to understand is college football has over 130 teams. Every team doesn't run the spread. Every team doesn't run the triple option. Every team doesn't run the same offense or defense. It's all about matchups. If a team goes 11 games and gets 10 wins, yes, they're a pretty good football team. I don't care who the competition is. But also, go to my go to the Facebook page at Gridiron Gav Triple Option. Also, join the group. Make sure when you guys join the channel, you make sure you put your name down in the comment section so I can give you a gab out like I do my man Brad. By the way, what's up, buddy? Hope you enjoyed the game last night. You're next. Also, go to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo and find out the other things that I'm involved in. Hey, be safe. Enjoy. Until the next time we meet, same Gab channel, same Gab platform.